Welcome back, everyone, to the SLTV StarSeries Hearthstone Season 1 LAN Finals with me, Aquablad. Still, we're onwards to the two last matches of the day. We've got the losers match, and he's going to face off, StanCifka, who won versus Kalento in the losers match, is going to face off against Orange to determine who goes to the grand finals alongside Tice.
This is a moment for StanCifka to redeem himself against Orange, who lost in the first part of the double elimination bracket. So, yeah, StanCifka has an opportunity here to almost claim his first title. They have to go against Ties if he's to win, and Orange gets to redeem himself as well and gets to take on Ties and, well,
in the grand finals.
In the grand finals, yeah.
Right.
So Orange will probably want his revenge, I imagine, after that 3-0.
Yeah, we might see actually an exact copy of what we just saw. Hopefully not with the same score, right? If Orange ends up in the grand finals, but there's a chance he ends up there. As far as StanCifka goes, he wants to go there. He's had the roughest, I think, time getting back in the tournament, and if he wins the entire event, it's going to be a really, really amazing ending. So we'll see what he has to say before we move on to the match, and then we'll get on our way.
I think I'm extremely competitive and I don't like losing, so I wouldn't say I'm that talented or whatever, because when we are starting to play a new game, some of my friends are much better, but I really don't like losing, so I put so much focus and so much energy into the game that at some point, most of the time, I just crush them because I just put more into it. And nowadays I'm also really experienced that one game helped me when I learning a new one. So there are so many aspects, like after some time you get used to stress, you know how to manage your time when you are at the event, like how you should sleep, how you should eat, like when you should travel. So there are so many small things like I would say I'm doing correctly that if you put them together, it makes you a good player. It's not just the play skill or whatever. At the moment, I really enjoy Hearthstone, and I would like to do some big stuff. Like I've already won DreamHack, but my goal is to be the world rank 1 on Ghost ratings. That's my goal I would like to achieve, and also if I would win some really big event like BlizzCon or World Cyber Arena, it would be great, but it's my main goal to be like the best long-term Hearthstone player in the world, and it's very hard to achieve, but I'm really gonna give it a try, and until I'm gonna reach this, I think I'm still gonna have motivation in Hearthstone, so I think you're gonna see me for some time in the Hearthstone area. What's my most important thing in life? Maybe I would say games, but it's actually not true. I really like to be the person who I like to be, and I don't like to pretend anything to have more followers, more viewers. I just like being myself, and that's the most important thing for me. And at the moment, it's gaming. It's like playing, being competitive, but I would never pretend anything to anyone, and it's my life motto, lifestyle, and it's the thing I'm probably not gonna change ever. So that's what is most important, and I also try to be just happy, and the games makes me happy, and I don't think that if I would change my interest to different areas could make me any more happy. So that's why I'll do gaming, because gaming makes me happy, but it's the most important thing to me, being myself and being happy, and that's why I'm a gamer at the moment. I play games, I play every kind of game, and I'm fascinated by the games in general. I'm actually wondering if there was a game I didn't like probably not, and if I just have a free time, I play different games, and I kind of feel it's very dangerous, because then you became one-sided person, so I'm kind of forcing myself, to make some sports, to do other stuff meeting with friends, going out. But in the heart, I'm really a gamer, so I just play different games, and that's what I love and what I do.
Watch out, children. Gaming will eat your life.
Yeah, he said if you just keep playing games, you don't do anything else.
Well, that's true, though. I can relate to that. I mean, locking myself, in my room, maybe not, literally locking myself, but literally forgetting about the rest of the world while I'm gaming is something that I do very often. I guess, some people are hyper-focused on a single game. StanCifka says, he may be playing other stuff in the meantime. I think that's compulsive gaming, not like in a medical way, but just something you can't shake off the desire to play.
Games are so good at immersing you in their worlds, and it's such a great escapism as well, which I think is used by a lot of people, to escape from just like being in work all day or just having a tough time at home or whatever. Games can take you away and put you in a magical land that you'd never be able to explore in real life, and that's the great thing about games. You get to experience a reality within a world that you would never experience in the real world.
So you're a role player, basically, Aquablot, is that it?
Yeah, I guess I am. I've pretty much admitted it.
I get it now. I understand. It explains a lot of things. All right, so we got Orange versus StanCifka going to start very soon. If Orange loses, he's out. If StanCifka loses, he's out. These players do not have any way to redeem themselves after this. They're fighting for the chance at the grand final spot against Thijs. And believe me when I say that Thijs is going to be very difficult to beat because his lineup seems to be the one that people appreciate the most because of the way that it's tuned to the metagame that they expected.
So StanCifka here has his mage banned as expected, has banned the hunter as expected. So nothing out of the ordinary, staying consistent with their game plans here. He has struggled against Orange in this tournament already, so he has a lot to work to do already to kind of overcome those demons which he's encountered. Yeah. So Orange, on the other hand, may be feeling a little bit better about this, obviously because he's already found the win but I don't think Orange is one of those opponents to underestimate anyone.
Yeah, one of the things to note as well is that StanCifka is targeting Patron. We've talked about this before, but this gives him the edge in the matchup just because of that. The Druid coin flips against the other Druid, has a bad matchup admittedly against the Mage, but Druid versus Patron or versus Druid is going to be overall pretty okay. The Control Warrior beats Patron. The Warlock, the Handlock from StanCifka is technically supposed to beat the Warrior, so usually StanCifka lineup-wise should have the edge. But when it comes to the grand finals against Thijs, his Druid will become his shortcoming, maybe, because Thijs' lineup is made to target it. So we'll see how things go. I feel like right now StanCifka has a lineup edge, but maybe not a gameplay edge once it comes down to really drawing the cards you need.
I mean, the thing with StanCifka as well, his Warrior's done so much good work in this tournament, and no one's banning it. They're still afraid of that mage and what it's capable of. I mean, considering how he beat Cypher with it, I guess most players are like, you know what, I don't want to deal with that at all. I can deal with the Warrior, but I can't deal with that.
Because Freeze Mage, like in the current metagame we've got here, with a lot of people bringing Hunter, they're bringing Zoo, they're bringing Tempo Mage. It was a Freeze Mage with a twist. It was even worse than that because they played duplicates with Sludge Belcher and a heal bot, which is something that I think a lot of people are trying out on ladder right now. And Duplicate as a pseudo card draw, and what's amazing about it is that when you get Belchers, you can stop Patron Warrior even from doing its thing. You're stopping Druids from just snowballing out of control, and you're really putting a dent in the ability of aggressive decks to get you down before, basically before the turn where you can play Ice Block and stay safe. So really the way the deck works is perfect against the metagame, so nobody wants to go up against it.
It's like an anti-aggro Freeze Mage, specifically to target these aggressive decks. I mean, Freeze Mage can have a good time against Azus anyway, but when you start throwing in duplicates and Sludge Belchers and heal bots, you just like snowball out of control, because it's so hard to deal with a Sludge Belcher sometimes without an Owl, but when you've got another two going to the hand as soon as it's taken out, or all the excess healing, with Antonidas and all the other threats, it can just be too much. And there's not enough information, I think, about this list for the other players for them to comfortably say, you know what, I know what this deck can do. I've played against this deck enough. I won't ban it. But for me, like, I'd never seen a list like that until this event. So, a bit of a surprise.
I think the only time I'd seen it was really Neria playing it against Live Coach in that bet they made about who would win. I mean, Neria thought that Freeze Mage was favored, and they ended up betting on it and fighting. So StanCifka is going to start with his Druid. Orange has the Patron Warrior. We know for a fact that Druid is supposed to be favored in the matchup, but things happen.
It's slightly favoured, I would agree. The one issue Druid has is Grim Patron on 5 in a rage whirlwind effect. Very hard to deal with. And looking at Orange's hand, he already has a Death Spite, he already has a Grim Patron. He can even have the Tempo Throbbing on 3, so he might just keep this whole hand.
Oh, he did. He definitely kept everything, and this is perfectly understandable because, Death Bite on 4, after you play the Frothing, lets you deal with any minion that comes in. You might use the first charge just to make sure your Grim Patron on 5 can go off, and he even finds the Thorison in case he needs to play a slower game, and he needs to get himself, the combo pieces to OTK his opponent.
Inner Rage is super important for Orange now if he really wants to get the advantage against StanCifka, but the Aspirant is going to live to fight another day, giving him that ramp he needs.
Wow.
And get the 4-drop.
StanCifka's got the perfect answer here. He can attack first and then Keeper of the Grove. That's going to give him a board. Not only that, but it's also going to force Orange, if he has a Death's Bite, to attack the Aspirant first. That's not something you necessarily want to do.
Yeah, you don't want to hit that 2-1 if you know your death route's going to clear it up later on, but you don't want to leave that ramp up. You don't want him to be able to get some value from that, getting some higher cost minions.
The swipe, though, I mean, it's appealing to use swipe now because when patrons are out, you really don't want to. So using the swipe now, I could understand if you think the Keeper of the Grove is going to be more valuable to clean off some of the patrons that might hit the board on 5. But again, having something, more minions on the board earlier is always better. Well, yeah, you don't want to have that happen when there's too many frothings or the patron turn.
I mean, the Keeper of the Grove becomes a bit of a liability later on when the Grim Patrons can interact with it with Warsong Commander.
Oh.
So it looks like he's actually...
Silence, he's keeping his ramp alive forever. The great play from StanCifka here. That's a play you don't see very often. I've seen it about twice in tournament play. And usually when you do it, it tends to work out. In this case, however, Orange has a good clear, right? He's going to be able to use the Death's Bite with the frothing to handle the board.
That's insane. I don't... Very often I don't see people do that, but if you think about it, he's very reliant on his ramp here. I mean, he can Ancient of Law on 6 now with that coin, and that might give him the tools he needs to close out the game. But it's super important for StanCifka to keep a board up until about turn 6 to 8. And even then, it might not even matter, depending on Grim Patron's impact on turn 5 if he gets that inner rage.
Right.
Oh, another Aspirant, not what he wants to see here. Azure Drake might come down just a simple trade, but Azure Drake does get taken out by the Death's Bite.
Yeah, we'll have to see what Orange opts for, because right now, even if you can play Patron on 5, there's only one Whirlwind effect, right? So let's just consider that for a second. Sure, Orange wants the Patrons, but how badly? There's no inner rage yet. If he picks one up, sure. Besides that, though, I don't know. I feel like the Slam is perfectly, justifiable. You cycle a card. Maybe you pick up the inner rage. Maybe you just play Thorson on 6. I just think right now, without another Whirlwind or another way to duplicate the Patrons, there's no reason to let go of the Death's Bite. But StanCifka picked up a good card.
Harrison Jones ruins people's days, especially patrons' days, and the Whirlwind effects are so much more important to the patron than they are to the Control Warrior, for example, that being able to remove that when you choose, or let it go off when you choose, especially with the Harrison Jones, can really put a dent in the patron's plan. And he gets to draw a card as well, which is always an advantage.
Yeah, draw a card, kill the Loot Hoarder, defuse the bomb that Orange wanted to make explode on you, and he even gets innervate out a Shade of Naxxramas if he so chooses. And I think overall that would give him the board that he wants for that combo turn coming up on 9.
Another thing to consider as well, he used Execute on the Azure Drake instead of his weapon. So not only did he lose an Execute and his Death's Bite, so he could have just used his Death's Bite on the Azure Drake and then it wouldn't have got removed, but now he lost his one of his Execute and one of his Death's Bite, so a lot of value from that Harrison.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Death's Bite overall could have been much more, as you said, valuable on the Drake. I just have to wonder, though, if Orange is going to be able to put together enough of a threat to punish StanCifka, because StanCifka's on a really, he's on the board, and there's no way right now for Orange to move him off of it without weapons or, using an Execute on something as weak as a Harrison Jones.
Well, if he doesn't find a Fiery War Axe or a Death's Bite, he might feel an Execute is necessary on the Harrison Jones, unless he just drops his Thorson and lets the trade.
That looks good to me. When you picked up the War Song, suddenly you are looking at a 2-mana War Song, a 4-mana Patron, and a 1-mana Ghoul, allowing him to get a Whirlwind effect, a bunch of Patrons, forcing StanCifka to really scramble to find answers.
So, what does StanCifka do here? He has Swipe available to him. Could trade in his 2-3, but you still need to be developing your board as best as possible. You want to put as much pressure on the board before that patron turn comes down. And the one thing with the Aspirant is it interacts with the patron, so he'll be able to spawn another patron with a Warsong Commander if he doesn't get rid of it. But he might want to use the mana first from the ramp before he lets the Death Rattle go off.
So he's got the option of trading, of course, the Harrison Jones 1-for-1. I think that's the kind of the obvious first step. Now you'll be having, you know, the 7 mana open for Ancient of Lore. Maybe you innervate out the Shade, fish for the combo with the Lore, and then try to deal as much damage as you can to your opponent. Oh man, never mind that. StanCifka is going to taunt up. You want to play Patrons? Not on my watch.
You have this big bear to deal with first.
I like it a lot, actually. This play makes a lot of sense, but this is exactly the card Orange needed to go through the 4-6 with a single Patron.
Yep, the Unstable Ghoul will be able to clear it up with the 5-1 Patron that gets spawned. This is going to be a lot of damage coming towards StanCifka. And a big board as well from to deal with. And this is the power of Patron in its current form.
Execute, I think, is going to come down here. No, don't even have to lose anything. StanCifka with an Azure Drake technically could be able to wipe the board with swipes. But until he finds those, there's also something to be said about swipe when the board is full of patrons. You can sometimes make it so they stop, you know, duplicating, right?
11 health in one patron turn. And that was on 7. That wasn't even on 8.
That's pretty typical, though, right?
But that's crazy. That's just not fair.
Fair. Are we talking about the same deck here? So I think you could go, if you're StanCifka, for a swipe on the one of the 3 health patrons. Would that allow you to clean up? Yeah, you can go for a double swipe turn, I think, and diffuse most of the threats.
You still have the 3-2 to trade with as well, if you need it, so that's nothing to consider.
So I think the play is Innervate, attack a 3-3 with your hero power, and then use the double swipe to fill up the board with patrons. That way, none of them will be left. That's the play that StanCifka is going for, I think, and that's the correct play. It is a perfect board clear because the patrons on a full board will not replicate.
Very smart stuff from StanCifka there.
Wow, double swipe to deal with the patrons, and Orange completely out of steam unless a miracle occurs.
He does have a shield block to help him get some cards to find this kind of crawl back, but like you said, he's kind of out of steam here.
No more executes either, right?
And a round of applause from the audience there. And, you know, good job, StanCifka, figuring that out, using the full board to his advantage to get that board clear. Drake Corsair, not really going to be enough. Gets a Battle Rage, though.
It does stop the Shade from doing whatever it wants, right? You can play the Frothing because it's a sacrificial lamb, but at least the Dread Corsair has the merit or the advantage of negating the Shade. But StanCifka has the option to heal with Ancient of Lore if he wants to. But then again, how much burst do you really expect from a patron on one card? I don't think you're expecting too much.
So StanCifka needs to figure out, do I go for combo now with draw? Do I heal to put myself out of range?
Do I heal my Shade?
Do you heal your Shade?
I don't think so.
No. 5 health on
you
there.
You might though, but I don't dislike it actually. It forces a Whirlwind effect to be used as a...
So now he's looking for that Force of Nature combo, ready to set up his lethal.
Wrath would be good.
And the hero power takes him to 10 health. So he is safe just because Orange doesn't have any cards.
I mean, that swipe play, I think, from StanCifka, I mean, I picked it up at the very last second, but in the high-pressure situations such as the one that he's in, maybe I wouldn't have thought of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure for him because he wants to be the best in the world, and becoming the best in the world it's going to take winning this tournament, I think, as a starting point.
As a first step, yeah, definitely a good first step moving forward.
And the same for Orange as well. Orange has very similar ambitions, so winning this tournament's very important for him. It is for Ties as well because he wants to keep his win streak going. But for these two guys, you know, it's a step. Like I said, it's a step forward. It's the first.
I mean, it's really just the first step of many. I understand what you're going for. I mean, StanCifka, really, he wants to make a name for himself. He says over the long term, he wants to become the best player in the world, much like he was in Magic the Gathering. You know, keep up the tradition, you know, stay competitive, and also stay good at whatever you do.
So this Druid of the Claw is going to stop Orange in his tracks until he finds some minions to interact with it. He's used both executes now.
Yeah, I really can't think of what Orange can do to cycle that many cards. I mean, a second Battle Rage, he would go for Frothing, Berserker, Whirlwind, Battle Rage, draw 2 cards, no more executes are left. It's going to be, I mean, at this point, I feel like StanCifka has locked down the board, and with a Savage Roar in hand, I think it's just a matter of 1 turn before he finds the kill. I can't quite think of a way for Orange to get it back. Maybe a Brawl if he's running one. That's about it.
We know he's running Big Game Hunter, but Brawl, I don't know where he'd find a space at, and there it is, Force of Nature sitting in his hand ready to finish off Orange. Can Orange draw anything to save him?
I don't think he even needs to play the Force of Nature, right? It's like,
Just
at
a
this
Savage
point,
Roar.
yeah, it's kind of like, why not? Why not just slap it on top? Fill up the board, go for a Savage Roar afterwards, and you'll be good. Orange probably knows that he's well beyond dead, but as long as you have some health points, I guess you keep fighting.
I mean, what he's hoping to find, I guess, now is if he finds a Warsong next turn, he has double Whirlwind effect with the Throbbing Berserker. Maybe he can slam for lethal there, but as you know, StanCifka has everything he needs
and
more to finish off this game, and he will be going at 1-0 against Orange in this losers bracket match. Winner goes home. Loser goes home, sorry.
Yeah, Orange here, if he loses, he's out. So StanCifka, again, taking the lead. He did beat Kalento earlier 3-0, so he is on a hot streak. Yesterday, he beat Kalento 3-0. Right now, he's beating Kalento again 3-0, and now he's starting with a 1-0 over Orange. If he goes 3-0 again, it'll be 9 wins in a row in a tournament setting.
Wow. That's some crazy stuff right there.
Yeah, I can't imagine that's very common, right? Oh, wow.
That's the first time I've seen him drink
anything
energy
but water.
drinks.
Right.
Yeah, anything but water or eating anything but fruits. He seems he needs the energy, the non-stop energy to keep him going here.
The non-stop, and yeah, that's right. That's the brand, right? Orange picks up a Wild Growth. StanCifka on Control Warrior. Orange's got a really important card here. Makes sure that he gets ahead on board very fast.
I think Orange got a really important matchup here as well.
Yeah.
You know, traditionally mid-range Druid, does very well against the Warrior. So he'll be able to maybe squeeze a win through the good matchup alone here.
He has to. If he doesn't, I think this is one of the most devastating losses, because it's a matchup that he should win, and if he does end up losing it, then he's going to have to beat Handlock 3 times with 3 different decks.
But the one thing with StanCifka and his Warrior, which I've mentioned multiple times, I've been very impressed with him. And if anyone can win this bad matchup, it's definitely him, especially with the performance he's had so far with his deck.
All right, he's got the double brawl. It's something I really like. I like the double brawl. Seems to me like it's a little cheeky, right? Like you don't expect it every single time. It's a tech that some people initially tried out. Right after Patron became very popular, you started seeing Patron with their brawl. Control Warriors coming up with a double brawl as a result of trying to counter the deck. And I have to wonder, you know, against Druid, it's effective, but you do give back the initiative to the Druid. You know, you brawl, you remove pretty much everything, but they get to play something first, right afterwards.
Wild Growth, super important here. The thing with double brawl as well, if you brawl one Druid board, they usually can replenish it enough to fill up another board, but the second brawl is the really dynamic card that's been added, not just for the Handlocks and the Patrons, but also for the Druids. But it's really going to be a tough game for StanCifka, but I think he's got what it takes to win.
Yeah, I mean, his hand right now isn't exactly the one that you're looking for necessarily. He's got situational cards. The first brawl is definitely interesting. The execute is going to be very impactful. No Shield Slam, however, makes some of the mid-game removal a bit clunky, where you need to get that. And Orange picks up a turn 4 Dr. Boom, and there is absolutely no big game hunter from StanCifka to just counter it. Do you just go for it, or do you play Druid?
Seems to go for the Druid Claw instead. It's a safer play. I quite like this, because then he can even innovate Dr. Boom next turn. If he learns that StanCifka doesn't really have any solid removal, he might even bait out an execute here.
If he baits out an execute, that Dr. Boom will be a lot safer, and StanCifka may even be forced to brawl the Dr. Boom on his own. Oh my god, StanCifka is going to go for the execute here.
Takes the bait. And Orange is going to be happy with this, seeing the execute come down. He still has to worry about the double BGH that is locked in its deck. But it's worth taking a risk here. The Boombots alone give enough of momentum for him to go for this play here. Dr. Boom coming down.
Shield Slam's going to be on the back of his mind, but there is no Shield Slam right now in StanCifka's hand. That's the top deck of the year if he gets it.
Oh, an execute!
Definitely a great card. Wow.
Oh, wow. StanCifka then, you could see he was like, whew.
I just dodged a bullet here. Oh, man. All right, so assuming he goes for Brawl, the problem with that is if Dr. Boom lives, he's got no follow-up whatsoever. So I think the execute is still, no matter what, the better play.
I mean, dropping the Armor Smith with the execute as well gives a good target for these Boombots. They might be less effective just pinging off an Armor Smith, giving you some health at the same time.
Wow, the battle. This was crazy. I thought Orange's hand was just beyond insane, but Orange just equally got countered by what StanCifka draw.
I know Orange could run out of steam if you get some more clunky draws coming. Maybe another Force of Nature on the next turn would slow him down a bit. This Shade will definitely be useful, but he's going to need to find some more stuff to play.
Yeah, and the Sylvana's turn from StanCifka, the Shield Maiden. At this point, Orange is the one who's going to have to be dictating the pace of which this game goes, and he needs to find good minions, not this one. Although there's something to be said about the Shade of Naxxramas here, staying stealthed until the Savage Roars can come out, until the Force of Nature gets played. Another Innervate would allow for a very, double combo, and Per Thorson would make this a lot cheaper. But still, StanCifka's armoring up, and he was very conservative. He's done it last turn as opposed to using the War Axe.
Unless the Shade gets sprawled. There's another thing to consider as well. The Shade may not get used,
That's
or
right.
Orange may feel pressure to use it because he knows Double Brawl is in his deck.
Oh, alright. The Shield Slam, first StanCifka, and the Shield Maiden. Big minions have found their match.
I think there's no time for games now. What do you think?
I don't know what. I mean, the problem with the Sylvanas for Orange is that I have a Shade. I need to get it out of here right now if Sylvanas comes down. Oh man, what a nightmare.
And Shield Maiden, Shield Slam next turn if he needs it.
Give him the Aspirant. Let him take it.
Yeah, you can lose some mana. I don't mind. But still, that's
That would be funny though.
is that a good draw for Orange though?
I mean, if I'm gonna give him anything here, it's going to be the Aspirant. Let's be honest.
This Boombot needs to hit Sylvanas. It doesn't, so we
Alright.
can't have a clean trade here.
Yeah, there's a chance Orange simply plays it passively. Maybe the Aspirant comes down. I mean, is there a reason not to? You could play it. It dies to Sylvanas, and I guess you don't give it to her, so that's a problem. Yeah, overall I think you just pass maybe. It's like
Hero Power Pass on turn 7 for a Druid is
so
never
mediocre.
it's never something great. I mean, he could Savage Roar, I guess, if he really wants to, and trade, and that deals with Sylvanas threat.
I would give him the Aspirant if I'm going to do that.
Savage Roar has too much value.
Yeah, I think in this case you're looking for Emperor, you're looking for the second Innervate, you're trying to get the double combo on its way. Otherwise, you probably aren't going to get out of this very easily.
Acolyte of Pain.
I mean, StanCifka's got all the answers in the world. Hell, he could brawl right now just to steal the Shade. He could literally just do that. Worst case scenario, the Shade is his.
It seems a bit of a YOLO brawl, though, going for that. He's like, just go for it, I got two, who cares?
Well, she's got no time for games, gotta go home at some point, right? She's like,
Yeah.
let's just brawl, be done with it, I need to go.
She actually isn't a suiting card for StanCifka. He's got all the time for games. Sylvanas
this guy.
has no time for games.
Oh man, he's brawling, there we go. Worst case scenario, he keeps the Sylv. Well, best case scenario, he keeps the Sylv. Worst case, the Shade is his, and he takes the Shade, and Orange with nothing to keep going.
Another thing to consider as well is Shade is a hard card for a Druid to deal with sometimes.
For the Warriors, yeah.
Huh?
For Warriors.
For the
Or do you
Warriors
mean
and the
for
Druids as
Okay,
well.
sure.
I mean, if he stays it, he can use it to trade into whatever he wants. It can get big game hunted, but Warrior has a lot more other things you'd probably want to big game hunter. Dr. Booms,
Right.
Barons, stuff like that. So this Shade actually might get a lot of value depending on how StanCifka decides to use it. And there's another trading tool as well. Keep
Oh
building.
my god!
That's an amazing draw.
You know what? I don't think there's anything Orange can do these days to win a game against StanCifka. This is absolutely insane.
This is the Ghostbuster right now. But he keeps
Who are you gonna call? Baron Geddon.
deal with those pesky Shades. But
Yep.
StanCifka's Shade is going to stick around, so he's
Yeah,
a bit
it's-
biased though.
Well, it's fine, you know. It's just it's gonna take a few more turns because it deals 2 a turn. Shade grows 1, so it's just a matter of time before the Ghostbusters actually go through.
I quite like Baron Geddon here because it's going to force a response of a big game hunter for sure, unless Orange draws something better. And if the big game hunter comes down on the Baron Geddon, the Shade is protected then. It's going to require some spells and such to be able to deal with him. So you will burn, little ghost.
Yep, down you go, and now Orange picked up the Ancient of Lore, so granted he could find himself very soon an Innervate to go with that double combo, but here's one thing about double combo, it deals 22 damage, not 36.
Yep, lots of health for StanCifka, which is a running theme with his warrior these days, just stacking health as much as possible. And as soon as that Justica comes around,
It still hasn't, believe it or not.
is trademark card of the warrior, I'd say.
So Orange here with a really great idea, just going for the Ancient of Lore. It still contests the Baron Geddon. You can keep the BGH for something a little bit later, like a Grom Hellscream that's been enraged. And now StanCifka, you also give him the option of trading the Shade away, and if he does, your BGH is even better.
I like trading the Shade because you think your Baron's going to stick around, right? So it's going to be burning out your shade. But on the other hand, he does have Dr. Boom as well, and Baron doesn't really interact well with him.
Or very well.
Or very well
depending.
at all.
So if we go, wait, there's 12 damage right now. That brings Orange down to, 20. Baron Geddon brings it down to 18. If the boom bots hit very hard, we're talking about 10. Well, the Fiery War Axe hit 7 would be the absolute maximum amount of health, or minimum that StanCifka could bring Orange to. But I think trading is generally safe. Shield slamming, I'm not necessarily against it, but I've got Shield Maiden. Maybe it's not necessary.
I would save the Shield Slam. You'll probably find something else. If you can trade cleanly here, you just go for 1-for-1 with your minions. You might as well have the Druid. If you force a BGH on your Baron Geddon, you shrug. You've got other big threats that come in. Dr. Boom's in the hand ready, so as soon as that BGH comes down, StanCifka will be pretty happy. He's like, well, Dr. Boom's safe at least. Baron's done his job. He killed the ghosts.
He killed a ghost, and he's also drawing a card for StanCifka. That was pretty much the best interaction you could hope for in this deck at the moment. Cruel Taskmaster sees StanCifka's hand. There's no BGH there to interact with, no execute, but I think Orange might opt for something other than the BGH here.
I like Swipe into Keeper, because he's seen Sylvanas. That's one of your key targets for silence. And now Sylvanas is out the way, you can hold that BGH for something a bit more threatening, like a Dr. Boom, like a Ragnaros, a Grom, whatever this Control Warrior is packing. And this way, he just keeps that Big Game Hunter in the back ready for another threat.
And now the 2-4 does not die to the Fiery War Axe. Of course, StanCifka's got more, it's got more tools to kill it. But Orange is hoping that the more minions are stay on the board, the better perhaps the double combo in his deck will be. But StanCifka picks up the hero of every single game he's ever played. Wonder if he'll play it right now or not. I feel like it's a decent time, right?
I think so.
Or is Dr. Boom just straight up just that good?
Well, Dr. Boom's going to come down instead. He's going to find a shotgun blast to the face from this Big Game Hunter.
Oh my god.
And a Forsen to go with it as well.
I'll say one thing. Orange may not be in a great spot, but if he's able to beat like a Big Game Hunter to Dr. Boom, wait for another Force of Nature, because he has another one, and play Thorson then, because I think that's his win condition right now. The only win condition he's got is get my two combos in my hand, play Thorson, play them back to back, and win. Because that will be exactly 10 mana, and he can just put 6 Treants on the board and buff them all up.
That would be crazy. But he still has a little work to do. He needs to draw some more cards, and Justica might slow him down a little bit.
I feel like Orange, I mean, he's got 40 damage in that combo if he ever puts it together. But StanCifka might be out of range of even a 40 damage combo by then, right?
I mean, we've seen how much health he can generate with that Justica alone. It depends. StanCifka's got some choices to make here. I mean, you can run the Boombot into the BGH. If it kills the Aspirant, he's got Cruel Taskmaster to finish off that BGH. It looks like he's going to go the other way here.
That works out as well. He's going to take a little bit more damage in the process, but I think he's fine. What with Justicar here probably coming down on the board. It's not the 6 armor turn, but a 4 armor turn. And Orange must be a little happy here that StanCifka is going a little further away from the 40, above 40 health range that he can't take him down from.
He's done damage.
Oh
Orange has done damage.
No way.
This impenetrable armor has been breached, and Orange could find a way to finish him off. Forsen. So do you need to keep Forsen for that Force of Nature, right?
I'd love to, but at this point, I don't know if you can afford passing and letting your opponent play something on the board, because there's 9 on board. If you use your hero power, you're up to 21, right? So that's 12 damage away from lethal. It's not that far off. We're talking Grom with a Cruel Taskmaster. Yeah. So maybe playing Thorson now is necessary just because it's at least forcing 6 out of the board. But the Innervate compensates for the fact that he didn't pick up the other Force of Nature. He can still top deck it and pull off the 40 damage combo, but it has to be right now.
What's StanCifka going to find here to deal with this? He's got Shield Maiden, Shield Slam, double Shield Maiden, so I think Shield Maiden, Shield Slam's pretty good here. And then you've got that 6-3 still putting pressure on, gets the armor up as well, so even more health.
I mean, there's really no way, like, Orange really needed to pick up that, 2 ticks from Emperor Thorson to do anything, I feel. It's a really big problem having only the 1 tick and not being able to get himself any more damage. Because if he picks up the other combo here, at best he can do, back-to-back combo for 14. He can do 1 massive combo and then do another one, a smaller one. But I think it's a little bit out of his reach here, unfortunately.
And as that Wrath comes to the top, Orange doesn't look impressed. He gets a cycle at least, or just Wrath this guy down. which he may feel he has to. A lot of damage on the board. Actually goes to the cycle, finds a Druid as a claw.
That's actually a piece of damage he can use, definitely. Maybe not now, but Force of Nature is played as a clear.
So one Force of Nature gone. StanCifka's going to be happy with this because not only is one of the threats for lethal being used here for removal, he still has a lot of health. And he can still build more health going forward with Shield Maiden and
right,
the armor up.
StanCifka can just sit back and relax. I mean, Orange absolutely needed to get the most amazing Emperor ever to pull off the crazy double Force of Nature combo. You know, he needed the Innervate maybe if you wanted to, you know, have one of these pieces not be reduced. But at this point, not looking very good for him.
So much health.
48, casually.
Just sitting on it.
The return of Control Warrior is basically this.
StanCifka.
Yeah, StanCifka is the return of the Control Warrior. At what point, you know, we had Kit Kats, and then we had, you know, Fibonacci just wrecking ladder. Now we have StanCifka just dominating.
Shield Slam is a way to deal with this.
The board, yeah. The board is just gone here. You just go Shield Slam and Cruel Taskmaster, and you've got a full clear. And back to square one for Orange.
Really struggling. It's very rare you see Druids in these spots where they can't fight the board
hilarious,
against
really.
the warrior.
It's amazingly funny.
But for once, Druid is on the back foot here. Orange is really struggling. Shield Slam going to come down there. He can even ignore it now because he's got so much health and just swing for face.
So StanCifka here always recognizing when putting on the pressure is better. Some people here might be playing a bit safely, but there's no need. He recognizes that absolutely. He's got the Death's Bite. If the Druid uses the hero power, it's still not enough. And Orange will in fact die to the weapon. He knows it for a fact. Grom Hellscream kills him. Death's Bite kills him. There's really nothing he can do. And StanCifka piloting this deck very masterfully. He's going to take a 2-0 lead over Orange.
And he takes a bite of that banana as his reward for the victory.
There you go.
Do you know what? Maybe StanCifka plays better under pressure.
Maybe that's what it is.
Because when he plays under pressure, he stomps.
Definitely. We saw him play, you know, when his life is on the line, it seems to just work out even better. Maybe
he just gets that extra focus. He channels that extra attention to detail. Which, when he feels comfortable, he kind of just plays it out. Still as a professional, but when the pressure's really on, maybe something unlocks in him where he's like super focused and just sees everything and everything falls in play.
I blame the energy drink. Maybe the bananas are actually not the secret. Maybe it's the energy drink.
Maybe the bananas are a distraction for us. We think they're the bananas. Yeah. He doesn't want to reveal his secret to the world.
Oh man. Performance-enhancing products being used on esports. Scandal.
Alright, so Druid for Orange. Once again, he finds a lot of ramp in his hand there.
A lot of ramp, you say. That's
ramp
more
for
ramp
days.
More ramp than even I can stomach.
Innovate Shade.
I mean, it's out of range of Hellfire. We spoke about that earlier, right? To play it on turn 1 with Innervate, Hellfire will not kill it. Shadow Flame has to come out.
And protecting this Shade just gives him a bit more insurance to be able to finish him off the combo later on, or lets him trade into a Giant as it grows, or a Drake. So it's a very good move by these Druid players to go for the Innovate Shade, especially when he has a lot of other ramp tools in his hand, such as Wild Growth and the Aspirant.
Alright, so the Aspirant here, if there were a Dark Bomb in StanCifka's hand, he would be forced to use it here then. Slow down the live tapping speed. Oh, the overlay moved a little bit to the left here.
StanCifka kind of like gave a funny little expression because he always sees Aspirant in his matchup.
Every single time.
Every time Aspirant shows up, and he's just like, come on, man. Do you always get that card? Are you that good of a Druid player? So Shredder can come down now. But Hellfire is a lot. This looks very familiar, this game.
I've seen something like it recently, right?
I'm pretty sure this is almost a mirror of their last match.
This is every single match that StanCifka plays.
No, more specifically, the match of Orange and StanCifka and winners. Orange had the Innovate Shade into the Aspirant, into the Shredder, and then StanCifka had to Dark Bomb,
yeah.
The Aspirant, because Savage Roar would have killed him. I mean, it's not exact same situation,
but it wouldn't have mattered. But yeah, basically, he absolutely had to get the answer right away. It was like he gets a better play here though with the double coil, right?
But yeah, it's looking very similar. Orange taking the advantage very early on. At least this time, StanCifka has some options with dealing with this board.
In a nutshell, StanCifka has Sunfear Protector, which is a card I don't think I've seen him play pretty much ever. It's like, it's a non-existent card for the first half of this tournament for him. Now, Orange picked up even more ramp, because, you know, why not? Now he has to decide what to do. Does he want to go phase, enable the Molten Giants? If so, how much of a risk does it pose? Stopping at 14 is a sweet spot, right? Because at 14, you can't play a Giant and taunt it up.
And he gets to innovate and clear the Owl as well, so his board's looking very secure at the moment.
Well, now, StanCifka can enable the Giant if he wants. Oh, he kills the Owl.
With the Owl, yeah. And, yeah, this could be really tough if you find, say, a Savage Draw. And he has that swipe ready with the coin, so he has a lot of damage going forward. He might just need one more piece to this puzzle to be able to finish StanCifka off in quick fashion, much like he did in their winner's bracket match.
StanCifka, of course, with the option of going Dark Bomb to his own face and play the Molten and Sun Fury. But unfortunately, unless you have, you know, double Molten, you know, if you had double Molten, you could justify a play, you know, as fancy as this one. When you've only got the one, it's really not going to save you here. You're better off just popping the Aspirant, leaving yourself, of course, on 6 effective health. There's a lot of things that will kill you, Force of Nature among them, but if you kill the Aspirant, Orange will have to use up his coin, and he has to have exactly those cards.
I don't know, maybe he is considering a Dark Bomb face. I mean, setting up an 8-8 taunt might just be a little bit better, because he might get some removal baited out.
He might do it, but I think...
Yeah, he looks like he's going to go for it. That's a good play there.
There we go. StanCifka with a self-inflicted Dark Bomb damage, and now he's hoping he can go, you know, just stop the aggression. Orange has no lethal just yet. Wrath will help a lot. I think that might be it. So Wrath, swipe.
Hero power. Oh, he can't.
You don't have the mana,
he doesn't have the Innovate anymore.
He would have to go... Swell. I mean, this is a...
Still tricky.
So if you swipe and use the Shredder, right? If you find...
Bluegill Warrior?
I mean, you can find Flame Tongue Totem, Bluegill Warrior.
Swipe, goes down to see what
Flame
he
Tongue
gets.
Totem. Oh!
Another Aspirant!
So much ramp!
This guy's full of ramp. He just loves it. He loves those mana crystals, but he doesn't love any other cards because he's just not finding anything else.
What's funny though is StanCifka right now, absolutely, like, after that play, he still doesn't have any way to stop this board from doing what it wants, which is killing him outright.
And this is a problem his handlocks run into a lot during this tournament, not just against Druids, but against Paladins, against Mages.
Yeah. I mean, right now, StanCifka can, of course, go for Void Caller with a Sun Fury, but if he does that, then he's got absolutely no way. There's no demon for him to get. Maybe Twilight Drake. I mean, it will be a 4/6, which means effectively there's only 2 damage that should come out from Orange. So that's going to be it. The Wrath and the Keeper.
Silence as well.
Yeah, the Wrath alone would have done it.
More than insult to injury there. Silence and then getting the game. Well, I don't think StanCifka's too bothered about losing this game, simply because it can be quite a bad matchup for him, especially if the Druid gets a start like that.
Right.
The Patron Warrior is what he's targeting with the handlock.
Yeah, StanCifka could sit back and he could maybe even not mind giving a handicap to Orange, saying, you know, your 2 other decks, I veto them, they get the wins, but now bring out your Patron, we'll see how that fares against Handlock. And I think that's what he's hoping to get. You know, he's going to get the matchup eventually. He doesn't really care what happens before that. Orange might want to get the momentum on his side, right? Get the bad matchups out of the way first, and then when you're, you know, head-to-head, 2-2, you bring out the worst one.
And we hear Garrosh's name there, so it is going to be the Patron Warrior, the classic old metagame
The classic
matchup.
old, yeah.
The old school matchup, the one we see so much in competitive play when Patron was running rampant. Warlock versus Patron. And this is a matchup Orange can win, especially with that BGH he keeps in his open hand.
Yeah, it's an additional tech that he put in the deck. Again, he was expecting Handlock as well, and he realized, worst case scenario, I can kill something like a Mal'Ganis against Zoo, can kill off their Dr. Booms, Mysterious Challenger, even though, you know, Execute will take care of that. There's a lot of targets you can find with that BGH in any metagame.
Speak of the devil, or demon, he's in StanCifka's hand. When he finds a Void Caller, that'll become a lot more handy. But again, lacking a Taunt Activator, which is super important, especially in this game.
StanCifka last time when he saw this played the Owl without a second thought. I think the same thing will happen here if you really want to deny the draw. But you must be afraid of a turn 3 Acolyte of Pain. If you don't have a second Owl, then the first one is very valuable. Maybe you just pass and let your opponent play, you know, Acolyte of Pain next turn. Then you're setting up for a semi-decent Hellfire eventually.
He has to consider, because he's on the coin, there will be one turn where he has to do something. Owlin will free his hand up a little bit so he can tap and maybe find that giant, but...
I mean, I like the life tap, I like the Iron Beak. It really depends on whether or not he wants to deny the draw as badly as he did last time, and that's consistent with everything we've seen from StanCifka here. This is exactly what we saw him do last time, and he's just sticking to his guns and following up the same game plan.
Stopping that draw is super important because Orange, as a combo deck, wants to draw as many cards as he can, draw that combo first in them all, and go for the win. And it's probably most important in this matchup because it is considered a hard matchup. So finding those pieces is super important. You need the Throbbing, you need the Whirlwinds, you need the Warsong. That's how you're going to win this game. But executes are also super important as well. So there's a lot of individual cards that Orange will need to win this matchup. So if StanCifka can deny him even one draw, it might be the Warsong. It might be the Warsong Commander. Yeah. You never know.
And StanCifka picks up another Owl. Sure, you know, it's no Twilight Drake, it's no Giant, but it is another tool for him to negate card draw, assuming an Acolyte of Pain were to fall down. So he must be you know, pretty happy about that. Of course, the Giant, Mountain Giant, is a lot better, forcing the Warrior to have the Execute.
And he gets the Red Corsair for free here, so that's pretty nice. And he doesn't swing with the weapon just yet. He knows he doesn't need it. He's going to wait until Giant comes down.
Oh my god, now StanCifka on curve with the Giant. Orange has the Big Game Hunter, so he feels comfortable just playing that, but that gives StanCifka a board that he can actually justify clearing. I wonder if there's not even a good reason for StanCifka to just coin out that Emperor Thorson instead of using something like Hellfire, or is that too much damage you're taking if the Warrior ignores you?
I actually would have liked not using the Big Game Hunter there, because he had Slam, he had the weapon, he had the Dread Corsair. I think the Dread Corsair is a little bit more expendable, and then he could have saved the Big Game Hunter for something like a Mal'Ganis or a Molten Giant, where he needs it more. Yeah, when it's taunted up, he could have used it in a more dire situation, but Orange just wants to keep the board nice and healthy here. 2 minions, put the pressure on.
Yeah, so StanCifka here must be considering, you know, coin Emperor. The problem with that is, you know, the Death Bite already kills the Emperor, so again, you're not doing much to the enemy, and assuming the Warrior has something like an Acolyte of Pain to get even more value out of the AoE, you're feeding him even more by killing the Emperor. Sure, you're getting, it's an investment in your future, but is it good enough, right? The Big Game Hunter here and the Dread Corsair can deal 7 damage to you, so you're guaranteed to take a lot more damage if you let them live.
Goes for the tap. Maybe coin Hellfire?
I think that's going to be a Hellfire turn. I could maybe a Dark Bomb, coin Dark Bomb, but that means Emperor Thorson has no immediate contest assuming that comes out. The Owl will have to be the answer to that one.
First Hellfire out the way. As far as I know, StanCifka only runs 1 Hellfire and 1 Shadow Flame, because you have to make cuts for other stuff like the Big Game Hunters.
Right. You have to be cutting stuff for Big Game Hunter.
I mean, the demons even take up some space as well. I mean, 2 Void Callers, 2 other demons, well, Jiraxis is usually included, but the Doomguard and the Mal'Ganis. And of course, in traditional handlock, you just had like Belchers instead, maybe a Siphon's Hall, so, you know, a Sylvanas. So you do need to find some space in these demon variations.
So StanCifka, with his back against the wall, he's being told, find an answer right now, because you don't have much time on your hands. I wonder what he's going to go for here. He does have the option of simply silencing something, like the Frothing Berserker, probably in fact the biggest threat at the moment.
Yeah, Silence of Frothing's definitely a way he could go. He could even
actually wait, just Dark Bomb. What are we talking about? Dark Bomb, the Frothing, Dark Bomb, the Ghoul. You're good to go.
Oh yeah, because the Ghoul's death threats will affect the Frothing.
Yeah, that's a very easy play.
Bomb them both. Yeah. Bombs away from
Bombs
the wall.
Away. I'm triggered.
So looking at Orange's hand, no card draw. Slam is a card draw, but he can't use it. And then he finds another weapon as well. So 3 weapons kind of floating around his space here. He can't use them all at once until Dual Wield comes into the game.
God forbid I ever get that. I mean, Rogues could probably use a feature like that one. I would love to see Rogues with like 2 daggers that can, you know, alternate. Keep 2 weapons, high in durability, choose the one you want to use. That would be pretty cool, actually.
Swap your hero power for a weapon.
I dig that.
Imagine Gore Howl, Deathbite, you know, in both hands. Crazy.
So StanCifka here, he's got the Molten for 0, he's got the Emperor Thorson, he's got the Doomguard. I think right now the Void Caller guaranteeing him good value, able also to taunt up both minions, keeps him super safe, and Orange is going to be in a lot of trouble. Whatever comes out of this one, it could be Doomguard, could be Mal'Ganis. It absolutely doesn't matter. Without an execute, Orange is in a world of hurt.
So let's see if the execute shows up. He gets the shield block here.
Another draw. Could still find it. Shield Slam would work as well, but
Cruel Taskmaster's not the answer here. So now he's got a very threatening board staring down at him, a big giant. That Void Caller also asks a lot of questions at Orange. Does he have a Mal'Ganis? Does he have a Doomguard? Does he have a Jiraxxus he can taunt up? A lot of threats there from StanCifka's side, but he's on 10 health. He's almost done.
It feels like you're really going to win, but you're not. That's not the way Handlock works.
They like to make you think you're going to win with that low health total, but then they just overwhelm you with stuff, and you're just like,
You know, I have to wonder, like, a new player, right, starting into the game, when you face off against a Handlock the first time, what is your general line of thought? Oh, I'm winning, he's not playing anything, right? That's gotta be it.
Winning, definitely not. Mal'Ganis comes down, the Eternal Demon Lord himself, creating immunity on StanCifka.
Oh my god!
Molten Giant! Oh man!
No taunt giver, granted, but you can always stab. Who cares, right?
Tap for free.
It's free. No damage taken. It costs you 2 mana. So again, you don't get necessarily the maximum value you can have out of your own mana. But I feel like Molten Giant Doomguard after a life tap is perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, race him now.
Yeah, I mean, that if there's a race, that's one. If I've ever seen it. Molten Giant Doomguard. That's got to be the play, right?
StanCifka's a very patient player, though. Doesn't seem kind of something he'd do. Can he find lethal? Yeah, well, of course, he'll find lethal next turn. So
next
he
turn
would
he's
go for
got
it.
Exactly.
So he's forcing Orange now to have an answer. Tournament life on the line here.
Kind of tournament life looks gone to me. I mean, he's gonna have to go for an attack into the giant, giving him maybe Cruel Taskmaster with the ability to battle rage for more cards. That is not a card you want to see.
Cruel Taskmaster, inner rage it, battle rage it, so you can Cruel Taskmaster the Mal'Ganis, then you can inner rage your own Cruel Taskmaster. They can battle rage for 2 executes.
You actually have to inner rage, battle rage that guy with a Cruel Taskmaster.
Oh yes, to be able to clear
with the
it,
AoE and then find 2 executes right off the top. And if you don't, that's game. Another sequence of draws. I don't think there's any way, even if he kills 2 minions with this. So definitely StanCifka's game here, it turns out.
Oh man, so tragic for Orange here, not finding what he needs. Kalendo had a very similar problem when playing StanCifka.
We will see the entire draw though. Very satisfying as a viewer to just see everything that might have come out. And Orange goes down to StanCifka, who will be going up against Styes in the grand finals. What a crazy road to that spot.
He looks super happy about it as well.
Of course.
Putting his shoes back on.
Yeah, did you see what he had to go through?
Yeah, sure. I mean, he had a really good day the first day. Second day was a bit tough. Had to play an extra 2 games at the end of the second day, so a long road for StanCifka here. He gets to play his friend Tice in the next game.
They're friends too, I think. So we're going to listen to what he has to say before the grand finals. Hear a little bit maybe about his anxiety, although I doubt there's much.
Again, congratulations, 2nd place. You're from 1 step from grand final. How do you feel?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Like I lost to Orange twice already, so I was a little bit scared. But on the other hand, I trust my decks, and like I really felt that I can turn it over, and I'm pretty happy that it actually happened. So yeah, it's pretty good.
Why did you ban Hunter?
Yeah, my lineup is not very good against Hunter because like all my decks are a little bit greedy, go over the top, and like I have BGH in all the decks, so I'm not able to deal with area aggression that well. So that's why I'm banning Hunter.
I know that one of your fans gave you a gift, a letter. What was it?
Yeah, it was pretty nice actually. Like it's really nice like to be here between these audience, and like people here are so sweet and happy and like friendly. So I'm really glad to be here in Ukraine. So
congratulations again, and I wish you good luck in the grand final. Thank you very much. And now we go back to our casters.
StanCifka looked pretty happy there. I mean, understandably, of course.
Yeah, and I agree with him. Everyone's super friendly, super nice here. You even got a letter as well.
Yeah, it was a bit unexpected, to say the least. I mean, whenever we're done casting between rounds, there's always people waiting maybe to talk to you a little bit. So it's a little unexpected, but the people here are very, very nice. Maybe too nice. There's something hiding.
I love the support this country gives to esports. I mean, it's not quite the same in the UK. I mean, we do have esports fans. We do have a bit of growth in the industry, but Ukraine, it seems to be really booming. I really like that.
So you don't do everything better.
So I don't do anything better?
No, like the UK.
Oh, no. Only castles. Only
good.
castles.
All right, guys, we'll be taking a short break before the grand finals. It will oppose Thijs versus StanCifka. Definitely a sick match coming right up. I wonder what will come out. Thijs beat him in the first round, in the round-robin phase, but everything could go differently here. StanCifka seems to be on point. We'll see if he can take it. So we'll be back after the break, guys. Do not go anywhere.